Hi, everybody.
What's up?
Welcome back.
Welcome.
Oh, God.
I have already frustrated Jeff, so...
All right. So today we're reviewing the Game Boy game Final Fantasy Legend.
Yes. Yay!
Yay! So we'll just go ahead and dive right in, I guess, to personal history.
So, my personal history with the Final Fantasy Legend is the same as it is with basically every game that we play. I had the original Game Boy Cart. I still have the original Game Boy Cart. I did not beat it until I was an adult. It was one of those situations where I played Final Fantasy Legend 2 before the first one, and the second one, in my opinion, is better than the first one. So I was a little disappointed going back to playing the first one, but it is still a great game. Played it as a child and then beat it as an adult and then replayed it, probably for the first time ever for this review.
So, like many of the games we play, nothing. I got nothing. I mentioned my friend Ryan Cabral growing up with Arcana. He had Final Fantasy Legends 2 that I played on his Game Boy from time to time, but I had never played the original. So, I've done my smidgen of research, so I feel like I have something to add. Final Fantasy Legends is actually not a Final Fantasy game. For some reason, Square did this with several games to try and make them more popular in the US. They weren't sure that JRPGs would catch on, so they attached the Final Fantasy name to a lot of them. It is the first game in the Saga series, and it came out in 1989. That is the extent of my magnificent research. Alright, so the story of Final Fantasy Legends is, at the center of the world there is a tower, and legends say that the tower leads to paradise. So you get a group of heroes together and you climb the tower, and up the tower as you go you find different worlds with different themes, and each one is its own short little RPG story, and then you kill God.
Yeah, that pretty much is it in a nutshell. My synopsis is 4 jerks kill God. And I will explain that as we go further along.
Okay. How about the characters?
Yeah, speaking of the 4 jerks, probably because of the constraints of the dialogue box in the Game Boy Cart, all of the dialogue spoken by your party is very direct, so to speak. The king says, will you bring me this girl, this beautiful girl that I love, and bring her to my kingdom and allow me to marry her? And they're like, we'll do it for a sword. Well,
oh, please, we haven't all been there.
Right, so it's kind of like you're playing 4 assholes that are just
Russ
running
is
around,
really recontextualizing the game.
Running around 4 different worlds to get whatever they desire, to get rich, to get great equipment. Yeah, and my 4 characters were 4 mutant girls.
Hold on, I think everybody is so surprised they need a minute to take that in.
Yeah, isn't that
Right,
shocking?
Yeah.
So in this game, you choose your party. You choose your party of 4 at the beginning. You can choose between 3 different races. You have humans, mutants, which were called espers in the Japanese version, and monsters. Humans get stronger by equipping better equipment or taking vitamins.
I thought it was potions.
Yeah, or something that...
you consume items to increase your stats.
Those will permanently raise the attributes, and then equipment will temporarily raise the attribute while it's equipped. Yeah. All weapons are breakable, so they have a certain number of uses, so if you lose that piece of equipment, it'll reduce whatever stat it increased. Mutants, or espers, we'll just call them mutants, they level up by nurture, basically.
They get old school experience, kind of like what you're used to, except the game never mentions it.
Right, it's all hidden. So it's the same concept between Final Fantasy II. The lead designer of Final Fantasy II was the one who developed the Saga games.
This explains a lot.
So you, I believe his name was Akihito Kawazu, if I'm thinking of that correctly.
I hope you're not looking at me.
Anyway, he headed up Final Fantasy II, and then he made the Saga series that we know as Final Fantasy Legend. So mutants level up by, if they use magic, then their mana will get stronger. As they take damage, their HP will rise. If they use physical attacks, their strength will go up. And I saw that because I used a team of 4 mutants and had each of them kind of play a different role in battle. And so by the end, one of them had like 99 strength because I just had her attacking all the time and knew no magic. And then one of them was like the mage of the party. And then monsters get stronger by eating the meat. They're basically cannibals because they eat the meat of other monsters.
And evolve into
right.
other monsters as a result. I was going to talk about this later on, but since we're addressing it here, why not? But the only issue to me is it seems so random. Now, I know it's not.
It's not, right.
There are people who have dedicated their crazy lives to actually mapping out, if you are this monster and you eat this meat, you become the... There are charts online, and God bless these people for the amount of free time they must have had. But there is a method.
There is. It has to do with the subgroups of monsters. Each monster falls into a subgroup, and then this monster plus this monster equals this monster, and then it's
I played through the entire game. I never came close to even having a guess as to what would happen when my monster ate me.
It's actually why I don't play as monsters, because it's too unpredictable to me.
And I didn't know about the mutants leveling up. Like, it was happening in the background, because the game never says gains +5 health or whatever. It just happens. And all of a sudden you turn around and like, hey, my human hero has 200 health. Why has the mutant got 600? What happened? We should also point out with the characters, for mutants and humans, there's male and female, and they have different stats and bonuses. The males tend to be stronger, the females tend to be quicker.
Ultimately, it's negligible, though, as you start to progress through the game.
So, that's the characters out of the way.
So the mutants are amazing, basically. Using a party of 4 mutants is basically a broken party. Because you never really have to buy anything if you don't want to.
Stupid me had to have 2 humans, a mutant, and a monster if I wanted the full experience. Alright, so moving on to the combat system. So the combat system has... It's a fairly standard first-person point of view menu-driven system. But it has one of those things that I hate. We talked about this, I can't remember what video we talked about it in, but where if you attack a monster, or you're scheduled to attack a monster who somebody else defeats, you lost a turn.
Right.
I hate that. I hate that so much.
It's because you didn't play that many JRPGs as a child, because I think I just accept it. Like, this is just the way the game is.
Yeah, I guess. I know it forces you to strategize more and to kind of guess, all right, I think this'll kill it, and I don't want to waste my turn by attacking something that won't kill it. Something that also took me a minute or two to catch on to was sometimes a single enemy on the screen actually represents 3, 4, 5 enemies.
Right.
So you kill the thing, and it's still standing right there, because there's 3 more of it stacked on top.
And that's what makes mutants so useful, because the magic that can be learned by the mutants will target an entire enemy group. If you're relying on humans, they're only defeating one monster at a time, so it's much more tedious.
Yeah, my mutant got some kind of apocalypse or nuclear spell, and just that's your job now. That's all you do. So apart from that, it's fairly standard combat, as you would expect. I was originally planning to talk about the leveling up and the meat eating, but we kind of covered that under characters. But those are also aspects of the combat system that makes this game stand out a little bit. It was really weird to get used to the idea of hidden XP, because that's how my brain processed it. I don't know if that's exactly how the mechanic works, but it's certainly what it feels like. Is the mutants pick up and lose abilities seemingly at random. And they gain stats seemingly at random.
That was the most frustrating part for me, especially using a party of all mutants, which it helped because there were 4 of them, so at any given time, I basically had all the abilities that I needed. But I would have this super strong, like, thunder ability, and all the enemies I was fighting in the water world were weak to thunder. And then everybody would lose it. So I'm trying to use fire or ice on fish. So that was a little frustrating.
Yeah.
But I still made it through.
Alright, so next up is our catch-all category, innovations. So Russ alluded to this briefly earlier. One of the things that this game does is all weapons and items have durability. So you've got your favorite magic spell or your favorite weapon. You've got to keep an eye on how many more times you can use it before it's gone, which really adds an element of tension to the game. Like, am I going to have enough uses of this sword to get through the next stage of the dungeon so I can buy a new sword? Because inventory space is actually very limited. Humans have the most inventory space, but most of it's taken up by equipment. And monsters can't use any equipment. Like, the amount of equipment is changed based on class.
Mutants have 4... Everyone has 8 slots
Yes,
in their
that's what it
inventory.
is.
Mutants have 4 slots that are used
It
up
felt
by
like-
magic.
It felt like humans had 0 inventory, because once you got a full set of armor on, you got like 3 slots.
So
open.
so mutants have 4 slots filled up by magic, and then the other 4 slots are for their equipment and weapons. But they don't need all the equipment and weapons because they have the magic. Monsters have have preset abilities.
Do you happen to remember off the top of your head? Because each character has 8 slots for inventory, and then there's a party inventory.
There's a party inventory.
That's limited too.
That is limited, and that's pretty
2 or 3
short
screens of
too.
8, maybe?
I think it's just 2.
Inventory management is a huge part of this game, and as one of nature's pack rats, I do not approve. I like to hold on to everything I come across. It also makes games like Skyrim hard for me, because it's like, I can pick up everything. And then I'm carrying a ton in my backpack, and I'm in the starting room. So the inventory management in this was a pain. The healing system, like going into an inn and staying, I don't think I've ever seen any other game that quite does it this way. I could be missing one, though. You know better than me, but you don't just, here's 10 gold, stay the night, everybody's healed. The healing is done, it's 1 gold per hit point you want to restore.
Right.
So the more hurt you are, the more money you better have in order to heal yourself again.
Right.
Are there other, is that?
There aren't any others that I can think of right now off the top
Where
of my head. I
damage
know.
is determined?
Right. I know it's a saga. It's the way that you stay at an inn in saga games. Can't think of any others though.
Now, it had a non-silent protagonist, but I kind of feel like, I'm not sure, but I feel like the dialogue is just determined at random. Because since none of them have any personality, it just feels like, oh, it's time for person 1 to have a line.
They're just 4 assholes, like I said.
So, it's a non-silent protagonist, but it's not like they gave him or her personality and planned out, well, they're going to approach things like this.
Well,
I think it's just randomly assigned dialogue.
Right. That's for your party. Now, that being said, I was a big fan of that last world that you visit.
The post-apocalyptic
The post-apocalyptic world. I was kind of taken aback by it because, like you said, your party has no real predetermined personality. You don't really spend enough time with any other characters up until that point to really get to know them. And then all of a sudden, they introduce this little girl and her brother, and like this whole resistance of people.
It's almost like somebody else wrote that segment.
It is. It's like you wander into this other game where everybody is a fully realized character, and you kind of think, why haven't I been following their adventure this whole game?
Well, and we mentioned there's a post-apocalyptic area that brings us back to fantasy weapons, swords, whips.
Right.
And guns, and bazookas, and lasers, and it's all over the place, which I'm okay with. I mean, it gives the game certainly a unique flavor. But one of the biggest issues I had, and you've heard me complain about this before, no way of knowing how powerful an item was until you bought it and equipped it. I have no way of knowing if that sword is better than this sword. Now, generally you go by the cost. That looks... But you're also talking about, okay, is the sword going to be better or a whip? They cost the same. Which is going to hurt more? Well, I got to buy both and equip both to find out which one has better stats. Oh, would a gun work better than a crossbow? Should I be focusing on this type of spell versus this other fantasy weapon that I didn't come up with in time to finish the sentence? I really dislike, and I know it's part of it's going to be because it's on the Game Boy. Part of it's going to be because early JRPGs didn't cater to that in terms of helping you out with knowing. It's so irritating.
Yeah.
Let me know if what I'm getting is better. This seems like a decent category before we move on to the music section to talk about the very fun glitch at the end?
Yes.
Because that amused me to no end.
And it is, it's great. I think the game, I think you and I can agree, ramps up in difficulty.
Significantly.
As you get to the very end.
Well, it is a very steep curve near the end.
With my 4-mutant party, everything was pretty easy until the very end. And then you realize it doesn't really matter how high your stats are because everything is just hard.
Getting to the end boss of this game is remarkably difficult.
Yeah.
Just, it's the final push. You know you're going to the end boss. I got to go up 3 more flights, and then I'm at the end boss. And it is just a slog. I can't imagine anybody playing this game getting to the end boss without feeling like they're just crawling the last couple steps, because that's what it felt like. Like, just 2 more steps, guys, we can make it. And then you get to the end boss, and it's God.
Yeah.
I can barely stand up, and I have to fight God. Luckily for us.
Luckily, indeed.
There is a glitch in the game. Because I don't know. We still wouldn't be doing a review. I'd still be trying to fight the end boss. But there is a chainsaw weapon in the game.
Yes.
And apparently it's coded backwards. It's supposed to one-hit kill anything with like a weaker defense rating than you. It's something like that.
Yeah.
But they glitched it, and it's backwards. So it one-hits kills anything with a defense rating higher than yours. Like God.
Right.
If you bring a chainsaw to a fight with God, you can one-hit kill him and win the game.
And you literally just slice him down the middle.
Yeah. Thank God.
He comes apart.
It was very kind of him to let me kill him like that, because I wouldn't have stood a chance otherwise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there was one more thing I almost forgot to mention. Did you find paradise?
No.
On the 2nd floor. Because you start out your game on the 1st floor, and the legend is there's paradise at the top of the tower. You go all the way to the top of the tower, and you kill God. And then game's over. On the 2nd floor, if you take a deviation, if you go off the path of just climbing the tower, there's a little village, and it's paradise. And everybody who lives there is happy.
Aww.
And you can just hang out there.
That's
and I guess that's
sweet.
the end of the game.
No, I didn't find that.
I guess I'm going to spend the next 30 hours just walking around this village. Like, I found paradise. Obviously, you keep going because it's a game. That's what you. But you can find paradise and just live the rest of your life happily there and waste your battery walking around.
Nice.
So we're going to move on to music. So for you guys who've watched a couple of these, Russ and I are music idiots.
Definitely.
We got no clue what we're talking about with music. We've tried, man. I tried. I tried doing research and giving you composers and other games that they worked on. A friend of mine called us music agnostics, which I actually think is the most appropriate term. It's not like we hate music.
My favorite band is Aqua.
I don't think I even have a favorite band.
Not really. I'm
Okay.
kidding.
I don't even know if that was meant to be funny. That's how bad my music knowledge is. So I have recruited an expert. I have recruited a video game expert. She fronts a video game cover band, and I'm sure she can give you any of her other credentials. But yes, she knows what the hell she's talking about.
And quite an accomplished flautist, I've heard.
Yes. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, this is Lauren the Flute. Russ, let's get out of here.
Alright, so I'm Lauren the Flute. I have a fuzzy friend. This is actually my first time doing one of these, and so they decided that I might need the emotional support. So, Fievel doesn't really have anything to do with Final Fantasy Legends, but hey, emotional support, I'm not going to say no to that. So I love video game music, and I love Nobuo Uematsu, who is the composer for Final Fantasy Legends. I actually was interested, I've listened to the music, I played the game with my sister when I was a kid, and the Game Boy music, because of the Game Boy sound chip, I don't think made the same impression on me that, for example, the Super Nintendo, which was my introduction to Uematsu's compositions, would have, just because the instrumentation is a little less, it's a little bit more, no offense to those of you who do chiptunes, but it's a little bit harder on the ears. But the composition is still really high quality, and I found as I was researching it for this bit that it was actually his, I believe, his 3rd major soundtrack. At the very least, it came after Final Fantasy 1 and 2, so it's not the full force of Uematsu as we come to know him, especially in the Super Nintendo era, but I think you can still hear his flair for melody. Especially there's a track in it that the name could be translated a few different ways, but it has to do with wiping away your tears. which when I was listening to the soundtrack again leading up to this, I was like, I know that. And I looked into it, and it's in all of the Saga games, or at least a number of them, and it's kind of the main theme of Saga, and it's just this gorgeous, evocative melody. The game itself has questionable emotional resonance, but the soundtrack delivers. I think a few of the other tunes are reused, but that's the one for me that really stands out the most. So if you like Uematsu and you like slightly more obscure music, I think it's a good take. As I understand it, he is pleased with his composition. He's somewhat proud of it, and I think he should be. I would definitely listen to it. I haven't seen a whole lot of cover albums or cover bands or individuals on YouTube covering these. There are a few, but I do think it's really good, that particular track. If you're watching this having not played the game, look that up. I think it's track number 5 on the soundtrack. So, yeah, that's the music of this game, and I'm looking forward to being here and talking about more games with more music.
So overall, Neptune and I really enjoyed this game. It's not as well known as a lot of the other games in the Squaresoft library, and it was a Game Boy game by today's standards. It is very rudimentary or elementary, whatever you want to call it. But overall, I enjoyed it. I liked the selection of characters, building your own party, climbing the tower, being jerks, killing God. I really enjoyed this game. Overall, I would give it a B. It's not one of my most favorites, but it was fun, and I will probably play it again for fun in the near future.
So I sort of enjoyed Final Fantasy Legend. I liked that it was 4 different brief stories in one. I feel like in that respect, it was kind of interesting, because each floor had its own little mini RPG story. So I liked that element, but for me, the randomness of the game really interfered with my ability to enjoy it, because I had no idea what meat would make my monster a better party member or a worse party member. I had to roll the dice. I had no way of knowing which spells my mutant was going to learn next, and whether or not they'd be useful. I ended up with a mutant who had 2 things of stench. I really would have liked an attack spell, but no. My mutant could just smell bad at people. And then the cost of items to make my humans on par with the mutants, I appreciated the effort. I could definitely see that it had good bones, so to speak. I needed to feel less random. And I know there's a system to all of that, and I know people have dedicated their lives, crazy people, to sorting out all of those things. And if you go online, you can find charts of everything and figure out exactly, this is the best item here, and this is how you get this spell, and this is what you eat for... I just want to play a game. I don't want to read a chart. I don't want to have to go through pages and pages of Excel to figure out how to... and then the difficulty curve at the end was radical. I felt pretty comfortable going through the entire game. There were some challenges, a little bit of grinding, but by and large, I was able to smoothly progress through the game until the final ramp up to the boss, where all of a sudden the difficulty just jumped. So, but I did like the stories. And I was kind of okay with the characters. I realized the dialogue was randomly assigned based on your party, but I could feel a little bit of character in the dialogue, even for your party. It wasn't strictly bland. It had a little bit of personality to it. Not a whole lot, but it's a Game Boy game. I'm willing to give it some credit. C+. It's the best I can do. So, that was Final Fantasy Legends.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was okay.
Alright.
Yeah, it was fine.
It was a good effort, I thought. I can certainly see where the Saga series could get better.
And it did.
Yeah.
With time. We'll review those games one of these days.
I'm sure we will. So our next game is one that Russ has picked, and surprisingly, he picked one that was not a JRPG. It's just an RPG.
Can you believe it?
Yeah, I know. Russ,
I didn't actually know that it wasn't a JRPG.
I found out. So, Russ, would you like to announce the game that you have chosen for us?
Yes, next time we are playing the Sailor Moon RPG. I'm just
Every
kidding.
time.
I do say that every
Every
time.
time.
Yes. Yeah, it's probably getting old at this point.
Because it was so fresh at the beginning.
It was fresh. Next time we are playing Secret of Evermore.
See how he built up the anticipation there and how I'm
Like,
killing it now by
my
talking about
favorite Chrono game is Chrono Cross.
it. Alright. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye. Thank you for being a friend. I always start by just singing something
Really?
weird.
We're not even 2 seconds into the review.
Off games, but I really now you're just, now I can't do it because you're over it.
What are you doing looking over here? Look at the camera. What's wrong with you? Luckily, I can also include that.